Welcome to our video about 5 scary stories based on real paranormal events. Story 1. Cooktown, the woman in the water. Locals say if you stand near the mangroves of the Endeavor River after midnight and listen closely, you'll hear a woman crying. But there's no woman there, not anymore. It's one of Cooktown's oldest ghost stories, whispered by fishermen, elders, and kids who dare each other to sneak out after dark. They call her the woman in the water, and her legend, it's rooted in truth, a brutal truth they don't talk about on the walking tours. Back in the 1880s, when Cooktown was booming during the Palmer River gold rush, it was a town built on blood. Gangs of desperate miners, escaped convicts, foreign sailors, and armed police roamed the muddy streets. But behind the pubs and the port were stories that never made it into the history books. One of them was about a young woman named Vince, just Vince. She wasn't a settler, or a miner's wife, or part of the church. Vince was Aboriginal, part of a small Kuku-Yalanji family that lived upriver. But after a flood wiped out their camp, Vince ended up in town, trying to survive any way she could. Locals said she was beautiful. Strange eyes moved like smoke. Some said she was cursed. Others said she could read the future. What we know for sure? She was last seen near 4 Mile Road, crying into the mangroves. Some say she'd fallen pregnant by a white officer who worked the river patrol. Some say she'd been accused of witchcraft after a baby died suddenly. Others swear they saw her being dragged by her hair into a boat by drunk sailors. The truth? It's all rumors, because no one ever found her body. But a week later, strange things started happening. Fishermen swore they saw long black hair tangled in their nets. Boats drifted off course at night, spinning in tight, unnatural circles. A baby drowned in a bucket, even though no one touched it. By the 1900s, locals had a name for it, Vince's Curse. Every few years, someone would vanish from the banks of the river. No splash, no scream, just gone. A young boy taken while skipping stones. A woman who walked her dog every morning, vanished, leash still hanging from a branch. A drunk fisherman last seen yelling slurs into the night. His tinny found upside down the next morning, engine still running. They said Vince never left the river, she became it. Her soul, poisoned by betrayal, rage, and heartbreak, twisted into something darker. Not a ghost, not a banshee, but a watcher, a weeping siren of the Endeavor. And the sightings didn't stop. A tourist from Brisbane said she saw a soaking wet woman in a long dress staring at her through the window of her riverside motel. The woman disappeared before the police arrived. In 2013, a teenager posted a TikTok about something calling her from the mangroves near 4 Mile. Her final video showed her walking toward the water, barefoot. Her phone was found in the mud. She wasn't. In 2019, an old tracker named Bobby, local legend, claimed he saw Vince rise from the water during low tide. Said her eyes were silver. Said her mouth didn't move, but he heard her whisper, "He never claimed me." He died 3 weeks later, heart attack, alone in his shed. The walls were covered in water stains. To this day, Cooktown locals won't go near the river at night, especially not in the wet season. They say if you hear crying, it's not the wind. And if you see her, you don't run. You don't speak, you walk backwards. You look at the ground, because if you meet her eyes, you'll feel it too. That sorrow, that rage, that endless pull beneath the surface. And when you dream, it'll be of water, dark, cold, endless, and her voice, calling your name from the river's edge. Story 2. Roma Street Parklands, Brisbane, QLD. They say Roma Street Parklands is Brisbane's green heart. But before it was manicured lawns and wedding photos, it was something else entirely, a burial ground. Thousands of people were laid to rest here long before it became a park. And not all of them have stayed silent. In the early 1800s, this part of Brisbane was wild bushland and swamp, the kind of place the colony sent people they didn't want to remember. By 1828, it became the North Brisbane Burial Ground, a final stop for convicts, settlers, and those who had no family to claim them. For nearly 50 years, this ground filled quietly. Unmarked plots, forgotten names, entire families in single rows, and when it was full, the city just built over it. In 1911, train tracks cut through the earth. In the 1930s, a depot. By the 2000s, a park. Beautiful gardens now stretch over the top. But beneath the fig trees and flower beds, the past hasn't been erased. Council crews have admitted to finding unexpected remains during work. Some sections of the park still feel wrong. Staff have spoken of shadowy figures moving at dawn, voices in the hedge maze, and sudden cold breezes on windless days. The strangest stories come from a hidden spot, an abandoned railway tunnel deep beneath the park. Locals call it the Lost Tunnel. It's sealed now, but in the 1980s it was still open. Kids dared each other to go in, most came back. But there's a story of two brothers who didn't return together. The older claimed they heard a woman's voice from inside. When the younger ran ahead, his torch went out. They searched for days. The boy was never found. The tunnel was locked soon after. These days, families picnic on the lawns, joggers pass through before work. But the strange reports haven't stopped. Before sunrise, gardeners say they've heard soft crying drifting across the gardens. Sometimes it sounds close, sometimes it comes from the trees. One groundskeeper swore he saw her. A pale figure in an old dress. I thought she needed help. When I called out, he stopped talking there. He quit the next day. Some say every 13 years someone goes missing in or around the park. A jogger, a cleaner, a traveler. The next cycle isn't far away. So next time you're at Roma Street Parklands, stick to the paths. Ignore the strange sounds, and whatever you do, don't go looking for the tunnel. The North Brisbane burial ground was real. Over 5,000 people were buried where Roma Street Parklands now stands. Construction over the years has disturbed these sites, and unusual sightings have been reported by staff and visitors alike. This story is inspired by real history, local legends, and public folklore. Story 3. Hughenden, QLD, Australia. Hughenden is small. Out here, the horizon feels endless. The kind of place where the wind carries dust and whispers. Once, this was a busy railway hub. Sheep, cattle, goods all rolled through. But the tracks are quiet now. Many of the old buildings sit empty. Locals don't talk about it much, but there's a story here. One they don't share with tourists. It starts with the old Hughenden Hotel. Long ago, stockmen and drovers filled the block. Nights ran long, fights broke out, and sometimes someone didn't make it home. After a series of strange accidents and sudden passings in the 1920s, the pub gained a reputation. Patrons swore they saw figures in the hallway mirrors, tall, shadowy shapes that weren't there when they turned around. Staff complained of glasses sliding off shelves on still nights. Lights flickered. Rooms felt freezing cold even in 40-degree heat. The hotel shut its top floor decades ago, but at night people still see a single window lit. Then there's the old rail yard. In its heyday, Hughenden's rail line was the lifeline of the outback, but accidents happened. There's a local tale of Engine 21, a steam train that derailed one stormy night in the 1930s. Some say the crew got everyone off safely. Others say not everyone was found. On certain nights, when the air is thick and the lightning rolls over the plains, locals claim to hear a train that isn't there. A distant whistle, the rumble of wheels on tracks long torn up. And if you stand near the abandoned siding, you might hear footsteps crunching on the gravel. The strangest stories come from the edges of town near the Flinders River. During droughts, the riverbed dries to cracked clay, but when it floods, the water rises fast, swallowing the low banks. Fishermen have told of strange lights on the water at night, pale orbs drifting slowly, moving against the current. One local, Vince, swears he saw something watching from the tree line during a flood in the 90s. Tall, wrong shape. Just wrong, he said. He hasn't camped by the river since. Even the streets have a story. More than one driver has claimed to see a lone figure on the Flinders Highway late at night. Always standing still, always turning slowly to watch as the car passes. Police check the area every time. No one's ever found. Ask the older residents and they'll tell you Hughenden is fine, as long as you respect it. Don't wander the old rail yard at night. Don't go looking for the lit window in the hotel. And if you see someone on the highway after midnight, keep driving. Hughenden is a real outback town in Queensland. It was a major rail hub and still holds historic buildings, many now abandoned or unused. Local folklore includes tales of ghostly lights, old rail accidents, and unexplained sightings along the Flinders Highway. This story blends local history, atmosphere, and regional legends. Story 4. The Road Through Julatten. Julatten, FNQ, Australia. Julatten sits quietly on the mountain between Mossman and Mariba. Lush rainforest, winding roads, and the kind of silence that feels heavy. Locals say the drive through Julatten is beautiful by day, but at night it changes. The Rex Range Road has a reputation. Long drops, sharp bends, and more than its share of roadside memorials. Truckies and locals tell of a strange mist that rolls in without warning, thick enough to swallow headlights. In that mist, drivers say they've seen a figure, always the same, tall, pale, standing on the roadside just past a hairpin bend. Some say it's the spirit of a woman who crashed decades ago. Others say it's older than the road itself. The rainforest around Julatten has its own stories. Bushwalkers talk about feeling watched, not by people, but by something moving just out of sight. One camper in the 90s claimed he heard deep, heavy breathing outside his swag late at night. When he looked, the bushes were moving, but there was no wind. Older locals still talk about the hairy man of the tablelands. They say it's been seen from Herberton to Kuranda, and sometimes in the mountains near Julatten. Then there's the old Julatten Hotel. It's changed owners over the years, but some things stay the same. Guests in the back rooms have reported footsteps in the hallway after closing. One former owner told of a night when every bottle in the bar rattled on the shelf at the same time. The air was freezing, and a low hum filled the room, before stopping suddenly. Even the creek crossings have a reputation. During heavy rain, floodwater races across the causeways. Locals warn about crossing at night, not just because of the water, but because of the lights. Some drivers have reported strange orbs floating low to the ground near the crossings. They move slowly, then vanish if approached. Julatten is quiet, beautiful, and peaceful most of the time. But locals will tell you, respect the range, don't drive it tired, and if you see someone standing in the mist at night, keep driving. Julatten is a small mountain community in FNQ, known for its winding Rex Range Road. The area has a history of accidents, roadside memorials, and long-running folklore about strange lights, figures in the mist, and hairy man sightings in the surrounding rainforest. Story 5. The Vanishing Coast Road. Pacific Highway, New South Wales, Australia. The Pacific Highway runs along the east coast of Australia, connecting Byron Bay to Newcastle. It's a route of beaches, forests, and winding roads. But it also carries a darker name among locals, the Vanishing Coast Road. For decades, reports of disappearances, strange encounters, and eerie sightings have stacked up along this stretch. Some say as many as 60-70 people have vanished in the region between Byron and Newcastle over the last few decades. Not all were linked to the highway, but enough were to make it part of coastal folklore. Many of the confirmed cases involve crime or accidents, but there are others. Truck drivers and late-night travelers talk about a woman on the roadside near Ballina, dressed in pale clothes, who waves them down if they slow to help. She's gone. Between Grafton and Coffs Harbour, there are whispers of the vanishing hitchhiker. One driver swore he picked up a young man in the 1980s who gave directions to a farmhouse before disappearing from the passenger seat without the car stopping. Then there are the lights. Sections of the highway near Bushland have been linked to strange orbs of light. Drivers describe glowing shapes moving across the road or floating over the tree line. Locals compare them to the Min Min lights seen in Queensland, warning they're a bad omen. Accident black spots add to the tension. There are stretches with steep embankments, sudden bends, and thick forests. Some crashes are remembered, others vanish into rumor. Search teams have gone looking for missing cars only to find nothing, not even tire marks. Late-night road crews have their own stories. One worker repairing a section near Port Macquarie in the 90s said he heard singing drifting from the bush at 2 a.m. When he checked, the sound stopped, but the forest around him went completely still. The Pacific Highway is safe for most who travel it. Thousands of cars take it every day, but the number of disappearances, combined with ghostly stories, has made it one of NSW's most unsettling stretches of road. Locals still say, don't stop for strangers, don't drive tired, and if you see someone waving you down in the dark, think twice before pulling over. The Pacific Highway between Byron Bay and Newcastle has a long history of missing person cases, crimes, and strange roadside stories. While many have logical explanations, the folklore remains strong among locals. Thank you for watching.